came like a king and left like a legend.
Zero people.
That's one of the most stupid questions.
Zero people.
I play all my season. Wash shit.
Ciao listener, welcome to Italian Wednesday. We have a lot this week in Serie A. We're going to discuss it all. Milan and Inter, they have so big games ahead, both during the week and the weekend. This and much more in today's Italian Wednesday at the Worst Football Podcast. So welcome listener to Italian Wednesday at the Worst Football Podcast. Here we are, another week and 2 match days in Italy. For that, we need Marco and especially Ste's help. Ste, can we wait from this week?
Well, Alex, there is literally no time to rest this week because once again we have the midweek match and the weekend match, and both our dates are going to be crazy, really. So to start with, we have the Wednesday big match, which is going to be Milan-Juventus. Now, both Milan and Juventus won last weekend's match. Juventus won 4-1 against Udinese and Milan 0-2 against Benevento. Both were what I would call the deserved wins, even though the Milan match was quite difficult because Sandro Tonali from AC Milan got a red card at minute 31st. And so I think that Milan and Juventus are now on a different situation with regard to the actual team they are able to put on the field, because Juventus has most of its players available, unlike AC Milan has a lot of key players either injured or disqualified now. So I would say this is going to be a huge factor for the match. And considering this, I would say that even though AC Milan is still first on the ladder, Juventus is going to be favorite this time. What's your take, guys?
For me, it's 100% how you just said. The lack of key players in Milan was well managed by Pioli by not making it impact too much the performances over the past 3 wins, for instance. Yet, I think against Juventus, who just found a very informed Ronaldo after the Christmas holidays, and at the same time also some balance over the past game, right? I think that's definitely gonna be a factor. Then again, if we need also to look at the fact that who they were playing against, right? Udinese is probably not the strongest opponent this season. So we need to see how Juventus will perform against the big ones. Let's not forget that they were just coming from a 3-0 loss against Fiorentina. Another not too informed team. So sometimes you might end up having very skewed results. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think the key here is going to be, once again, the Portuguese best player or top player, if you wish. It's really going to be about how Milan can block Ronaldo, how much space will be given to him. And if I have to pick another one that I think is going to be key, it's going to be on the wing, the matchup between Theo Hernandez and Cuadrado. Whomever is going to win that wing, that's going to be key for the team, because both team prefer to play on that one wing. So left wing for Milan and right wing for Juventus. And I think winning that matchup is gonna put one of the two team heavily in the advantageous position.
Yeah. Especially considering how Theo Hernandez has been crucial for Milan, perhaps even more than the last year, I would say. So yeah, and do you have anything to add, Alex?
Yes, basically, I'm quite curious to see now that Juventus is against the ropes, how they will react. For a simple reason, should they lose against Milan, they could be going to sleep on Wednesday, sitting in 7th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Sassuolo and Atalanta are both at less than 3 points. So should they win their games, which are highly winnable, Atalanta against Parma and Sassuolo against Genoa, they could be going to bed in 7th.
Yes.
It is actually one of those high pressure games that I am not used to see Juve playing. So yeah. I wonder how they will react.
And that would be 10 to 13 points, right? Like we're halfway through, but 10 to 13 points is almost a gap that it's unclosable at this point.
Yeah. The stakes are very high, especially for Pirlo, I would say. And
if this was in England, they would already be writing "Mind the gap, please, mind the gap."
And the thing is that Juventus cannot even rest, because after meeting with AC Milan next Wednesday, they're going to meet Sassuolo on Sunday. And we all know how Sassuolo has been proven to be a huge team this year, even though last week they had a very bad loss against Atalanta. But that's just one hint, because as we all know, Atalanta either wins like 5-0 or just plays horribly. So Atalanta is quite a weird team in that sense. And then we have Inter Milan scoring one of those tennis results, meaning a 6-2 against Crotone. So very, very impressive match by Lautaro Martinez especially, but by the whole team in general. Even Lukaku, we saw a Lukaku who, rather than scoring a lot of goals, served a lot of assists and worked a lot for the team. And again, Hakimi, who is not a surprise anymore, of course, if he ever was. And now Inter Milan is going to be against Sampdoria in the middle of the week and against Roma on Sunday. So both matches are not going to be easy, because we all know that Ranieri's Sampdoria is doing fine this year. But of course, the big match among the two is going to be on Sunday against Roma, which is also doing not bad. How do you see Roma against Inter, guys?
I think Roma is the surprise. We were talking no longer than 3-4 weeks ago about Fonseca not being as good as fans were hoping, not being as strong as fans were hoping.
You were talking.
Yeah, the Italian
yes, so cold.
was labeling Fonseca as not convincing. Let me put it that way. He's just doing it. I mean, Dzeko got back. The team has changed, despite a couple of hiccups from some players that are not performing as they should. He did manage to find in the collective what Roma is missing in the individuals, I think, which is very important if you're looking at this team for the future. And I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I believe it's almost the opposite between Roma and Inter. Inter is really hanging on the top players and winning with individuals, well-positioned individuals. And this is why, for instance, Eriksen didn't work, because he couldn't gel in this team of individuals. Conte being one of them, of course. And on the other hand, Roma, yes, they have players that have done better, like Mkhitaryan did very well this season, just to name one, if I need to. But overall, the team is doing very well. Now also the youngster from Ibanez to Kumbulla to Villar are doing very well. And you can see how Fonseca is able to put one in and one out every week without really disrupting the team. And that's, I think, is the key of Roma's success this season, but potentially also for the future.
Yeah, I think Roma is. I keep banging the drum for him, not only because he's Portuguese, but also because of that. But the guy is. His team is, honestly, Roma's team is shit. I'm sorry, but that's that's really the definition. And I know we shouldn't say this in a podcast, but still, I mean, they're a team that played. Most of it. Who the hell is Villar? I have no idea. I never heard about Villar, but apparently he came for 700K. From Elche for 4 million, actually, not 700K. But the guy just comes and he slots in. So he created a team that fits this system of this 3-4-2-1 that really, really perfectly fits how the team plays. So, and it reminds me a lot about my own team of Sporting. The technical system is the same, and it's no matter who the player is, it's a position that he needs to play, not a player position. It's the position in itself, and you can rotate the players because all of them are the same level.
So would you say that Roma is similar to AC Milan in this sense, meaning that even in AC Milan there are different players who will do the same role when interchanged?
Yes, with the difference that AC Milan at least has some good players every here and there. And this you have Mkhitaryan and Pellegrini supporting Dzeko. Mkhitaryan is in the form of his life, let's admit that. But Karsdorp and Bruno Perez. Bruno Perez was a season wonder. I mean, the whole defense is Ibanez. He's a young Villar. Who the hell is he? Smalling is one of the best center backs now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
if you go player by player, a Milan team is way better than this Roma team. But the idea is the same.
I think he managed to create a philosophy, and that will pay off a lot in the long run. He came with a different idea. He wanted to play more on the wings. Last year he tried, didn't work out. Possibly also a little bit of the clash with the Italian league, right? Different way of defending, etc. He was very clever in not being stuck with a single idea, and also very bold with the management in changing a lot. Because if we think about who were the hopes of Roma 2 seasons ago, we would have definitely identified Klauver, we would definitely identified Censi Gunder, and we would probably identified Cristante. Now, Cristante is relegated to one of the team, but definitely not the key. Often he played as central defender because he's underperforming. And at the same time, the other two are not there anymore. Zaniolo grew up, destroyed his knees, so unlucky for him, right? But he did manage to change the team upside down, not just in the players, but also in tactical style, with a couple of key ones, like Dzeko up front, like player from England coming in to increase and help the youngsters to grow. And you mentioned Smalling, you mentioned Mkhitaryan, but we also have Pedro, that, not an amazing season, but either way, he has a lot of experience to bring to the team. And I think it's a nice gel of youngster and experienced people, so that the youngster can grow while being supported by players that know and have experience more beforehand.
Yeah. I think I share what you say, Marco. And just to finish today's episode, I would focus a little bit on Napoli, because even though we see that Napoli is 9 points from the top of the ladder, they still have the match against Juventus to recover. And in this week, they're going to have 2 very accessible matches. The first one being against Spezia in Napoli, and the second one being against Udinese in Udine. I think that honestly, Napoli can be one of the top competitors for the title this year, because their play has been very good, except for a few occasions in which it simply did not work. And we all know that the team is very motivated. And now even more, because they like their leader Gattuso. And now, unfortunately, the news reported that Gattuso suffered from a disease, which is impairing his sight. And the team seems to be really motivated to try to win this year, or at least to perform very good. And while it seems obvious, or at least likely, that Napoli will take the upcoming 2 matches, do you think, guys, that Napoli can compete with the other top teams for the title and not just for the Champions League qualification?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think Napoli missed a strong management behind. When you just read what happened this very week with Osimhen, who is the youngster they bought up front, who was freed up for the Christmas holiday as he's injured, going back to his home country and throwing a huge party for his birthday, not even being fined by the management, because they're like, oh no, he's our top player. We can't
Marco,
find
sorry, but this just feels like an anticipated meme section of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit it does. But if we really look at these, I think there's a key gap here. Gattuso is doing wonders despite his physical condition, as you mentioned, not being there, in keeping the team up top. If we look at the individuals, I think there's many players that are subpar compared to Inter, compared to Juventus. Yet he did manage to bring the team up from the destruction, I would say, that Ancelotti left, with each and every single player being worth at the very least 10 million more than when Ancelotti was there. So kudos for him. I think the gap is not in the individuals, it's not in the manager, it's just in the club as a whole.
I will, though, one thing I would say against Marco's point is the one about the party. Because if you look at the more structured clubs where they have a lot of money, they did the same or even worse. Neymar had 150 people over for a party in Brazil. And, it's PSG, and highly controlled club. So I think it's an individual mentality, although I will agree with you. The idea behind the whole Napoli essence of playing. They're capable of playing the most beautiful game, and also you see in the results they don't have a draws issue; they have a losing issue. So it's either there, or they're not on their day, and they will lose. So that's more the issue of Napoli. But I think this week, more than Napoli, this is the most decisive week of Serie A so far, because it is a test on the Lombardia. How will the teams of Milan cope on Wednesday and in the weekend? This, more than the gap is created now, is can they hold their position, or will they now succumb to the pressure from the ones behind? So that's the very interesting weekend.
Yeah, and I can't wait for watching both matches. So it is all for today, guys. But before, as always,
Meme section of the day!
So imagine that the Italian government every year prepares this decree, which allows top teams, or I mean all teams, but especially favors especially top teams, to just engage foreign players and having very, very substantial tax reductions and advantages. And every year there is this decree, which then gets converted into law. And the teams know that, and so they want to take advantage of this decree, and they hire a lot of foreign expensive players, such as, I don't know, De Ligt, Rabiot, Ibrahimovic, Lukaku, and so a lot of players. Once again, this decree is enacted. But then, for no reason and without any explanations from the authority, the decree does not convert it into law. And so its provisions disappear in a retroactive way. What would be your first thought if you were the president of a top team in this situation?
If I were to be Italian, I would be like, yeah, I knew that. If I were to be one of the American, Chinese, and you name it, president that came into Serie A, finally bringing more money, bringing more wealth to the league, I would just be so disappointed. You're planning for something. You're being told that if you get a top tier player to your league, you're gonna have 50%, 30% tax discount, I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
And suddenly, after 6 months, you're being told, yeah, that's no more. And now there's COVID, so less income. And now you suddenly have also 30% extra costs.
Yeah,
who's gonna pay for it? That's gonna be a big question mark, because contracts are usually as a lord, right? You don't have the net amount that you pay to the player, but that's gonna be a big question mark. Who's gonna pay for this lack of transparency from the government? The team or the players?
Yes, and nobody knows the reason, like for this revirement. Nobody explained it, and it might also have happened that they simply forgot to attach the provisions into the law and thus converting the decree. So this is really weird and must be so frustrating for management. But yeah, thank you guys. This was it for today, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.